Everyone complains about how hard it is to find the right influencers, how influencer discovery is hard and tedious and time consuming. Well, it doesn't have to be, actually. So, I am going to show you my process for finding up to 100 vetted influencers for your brand in less than a couple of hours a week using a simple 3-step process. For this specific example, I'm looking for on-target influencers for a Korean skincare brand. The first thing I do is I gather whatever data I have from my ICP, where they spend their time, what their content preferences are. You should have part of this data as a brand already if you're doing a marketing strategy, but if you don't, there are ways to getting it either through surveys or interviews or just talking to your customers. And then I do some organic content research where I just go out there and I look at keywords, I look at what type of content performs really well in that niche, what my competitors are up to, how do people talk about this specific product or similar ones, and then I just build a list of keywords, basically. I use this data to create what I call an influencer cheat sheet, which holds all the info and criteria I'm looking for the influencers I want to source. We're going to do a mix of manual and in platform discovery, and for this I'm going to use one of my go-to tools called Modash, and the tool is going to help me in support with both types of discovery. The cheat sheet that I've just created would also make it super efficient for me when I go into Modash, because I will be able to match whatever criteria I put in the sheet with their in-platform filters, which is going to make my work so much easier. So step number 1 is the manual discovery part. In the first stage, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on each platform and try to act just like a regular user, scrolling and searching for content within the topics I've identified, and add any influencer that I think matches my criteria on my list. Then when I think I have enough people on my list, I simply fire up Modash, and this is where I start vetting people directly in there and checking their insights and creating a list that I can save right away. I can't tell you how easy the process is now compared to what I used to do before. We used to go back and forth with creators. I just go into Modash, and every single metric that I use for decision making and vetting when it comes to choosing the right influencers is all there. Anything from average content views, demographics, content stats, audience insights, it is all in here. It's amazing. The reason I'm saving my list directly into Modash is because I want to take advantage of another one of their features, which is the lookalike feature. I want to use Modash influencers and audience lookalike feature to find more similar profiles almost instantly, which I will also check and add to my list really fast. And this, I'm not gonna lie, it feels like cheating. It feels like cheating. Step number 2 is going to be using Modash directly to find influencers. And as you can see, I've now completely switched to Modash, and I have a big array of filters to use in all sorts of ways to find influencers according to my criteria. Beauty with having so many options is that I can experiment around with my filters and check the creator insights on the spot as I'm building my list. I use this in a lot of various ways. I either input my criteria directly and go with that and check the results, or I play around with different filter combos and use influencers that work with my competitors, that use various keywords in their captions, search within different topics and interests, and so on. When I'm looking for influencers, I'm also going to do a quick search on who my competitors are working with. That's such a really great way to find influencers, and I can do it either manually, and I can go and see what kind of tag posts they have and find them organically, or I can just simply use Modash and I can find my competitors using the last row in the influencer filters. I can use hashtags, I can use mentions. I do need to know the username of my competitor on that specific platform that I'm using. So for example, for this specific example is the TikTok username that this competitor has, and I can also use them in keywords. Keep in mind that the more filters you add in Modash, the more niche your search will be, which is great if you're looking for something that's very specific. But if you're looking for broader terms, or if you're looking to sift through a larger list of influencers, you can play with them and find out like what works best. What I like to do is I like to play with different levels of filters and different combinations of filters, and I take things out, I put things out, and then that's how I get the most out of this, and it allows me to see like people who might slip through the cracks for one filter or the other. So my only goal here is to quickly find the influencers that fit my criteria perfectly, do a quick manual check on them to make sure that they're a good fit for what I'm looking for and for my brand, and then quickly add them to my list. Step number 3, which we're already at, I told you this is going to be easy. As you can see right now, I have a list of fully vetted influencers that I've used Modash to look at every single insight that I could. I also did a little bit of manual check, like the human check, the human vetting to make sure the feel and the vibes are right for this specific brand. The entire process took me less than 2 hours actually. It took me around an hour and 40 minutes or so to build this list, and I was very, very thorough. You could potentially find even more influencers if you spend a little bit more time. This is just to show you how if you just allocate a few hours a week, you can build a big list of influencers to contact for your brand and not have to spend hours and hours and hours every single day doing discovery. I have my list all prepped and vetted, and now it's just time to reach out. That was it. I can just export the list that I made in Modash and put it in whatever email or outreach tool of my preference is. By the way, contact info will also be available here for the influencers that have a public email, or I can literally state right here, and Modash will help me keep track of all my conversations, relationships, and collaborations all in one place. Pretty much any info that's available for that specific influencer in Modash is going to be available for you on the right side of their inbox, where you'll be able to see everything, anything you need to make decisions to use in your communication in just a few clicks. Just FYI, Modash is a full-fledged influencer marketing platform, so they can help you with your process from A to Z, so from discovery to reporting and even beyond that. I hope you liked this. I hope this was really helpful, and above everything, I hope you will have some fun with your influencer discovery from now on.